people like me. You need people like me so you can point your f***ing fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, and now it's time for our next installment in the Ring IQ Annual Talent Search.
Every so often, we like to get a look at what talented young up-and-comers are out there and which ones show the most promise, the most ability to make a splash.
Next fighter I want to talk about takes us to the United Kingdom, London, where an unbeaten up-and-comer that goes by the name Johanna Wonyou.
She was in action this past weekend.
A young fighter of Cameroonian descent campaigning in the women's bantamweight division. Bantamweight, that's where Ebony Bridges holds the IBF, Nina Hughes holds the WBA, Dina Thorsland holds the WBO, and
Yuli Hangaluna has the WBC.
There are 4 separate champions in the women's bantamweight division. Bantamweight, that's 118 pounds. That's where Johanna Wonyou campaigns, sporting a professional record of 8 wins, no losses, no draws, 2 knockouts, only 22 years old.
She's in the right place to make a splash in the sport of women's boxing, as the sport is a lot further along in Europe, particularly in the United Kingdom, than it is in the United States.
Having debuted as a professional in late 2020,
Johanna only fought once that year, but she kept busy the following year. Fought 2 times in 2021.
4 times in 2022, 4 times last year, and she was just in action this past weekend.
Opposite the ring, Agin Kayange.
Racked up a 4th-round TKO stoppage in a contest that was built for 10 rounds.
Scheduled for 10, she ended it in 4.
Only 22 years old, a Cameroonian national who has since relocated to London, the United Kingdom, and as stated, in order to make a splash in the sport of women's boxing, particularly in the women's bantamweight division, she's in the right place. London, UK.
That's where you want to be.
There are 3 major platforms in the United Kingdom with female fighters under contract, female fighters of their own. Johanna Wonyou, if she plays her cards right, could be one among them. A boxer-puncher.
This is a balanced fighter.
Very balanced. Can fight going forwards, can fight going backwards.
Very good situational awareness. Very good at measuring the distance.
Very good counter shots.
Johanna Wonyou fights at a steady pace. Very controlled, very poised, very relaxed.
She has the appearance of a boxer-puncher. A boxer-puncher lives somewhere in between a pure boxer and a pressure fighter. They exhibit all the fundamentals.
Boxer-puncher exhibits the fundamentals of the pure boxer with some of the mean streak you get from the pressure fighter.
Though not fighting at the same relentless pace as a pressure fighter and not being limited to staying on the outside like a pure boxer would.
Pure boxer's completely defensively minded, where a boxer-puncher from time to time can show spite, can show mean streak.
Can step into their jab, get mid-range to inside, and unleash combinations. Johanna Wonyou,
She can do that.
put punches together in the pocket. The tried and true characteristic of the boxer-puncher is they have the pure boxer's fundamentals with some of the pressure fighters' spite.
They're balanced.
Johanna Wonyou is balanced, exhibiting the ability to play both the aggressor and the defender whilst managing the distance and being fundamentally sound in doing so.
Good feet, good movement.
Good power, good athleticism, decent speed, decent hand speed. Not the fastest,
But far from the slowest.
I've been hearing about Johanna here and there the last couple of months, and I finally got a look at her. I was thoroughly impressed.
And you have to remember that Johanna's only 22 years old. This is what you're seeing now. How's she going to look 2 to 3 fights from now?
How much better is she going to look? How much sharper? Activity is a young fighter's best friend when they're just starting out their pro career.
You talk about young fighters, she's got 8 pro fights already. She's got those rounds in the bank, but because she's only 22 years old, I don't actually think Johanna should be in any hurry to fight for alphabet titles or get in position to fight for alphabet titles just yet. What she needs now more than anything are rounds in the bank, more rounds in the bank, experience.
It's a young fighter's best friend, so by the time you do fight for a title, you're more than prepared, more than ready. There are 4 champions at this weight, any number of paths that young Johanna can choose from. But here and now, what I think she needs more than anything are rounds in the bank.
She just racked up her 8th professional victory this past weekend, and I look forward to seeing more from Johanna Wonyou,
One of Ring IQ's top prospects to watch in the year of 2023.
Hi, Tyson Fury here. Just a quick one. I've been speaking to the lawyers today, and Usyk's people are talking about rematch clauses and all that bollocks. Here's one to up the antes. How about there is no fucking rematch clause for both of us? Let's up the antes completely. Never worry about what's in the future and how many more dollars you can get after you've been defeated. Worry about the fight, April 29th, no rematch clause, the winner takes the glory, the loser goes home with his dick in his hand. How about that? Agree to that, you fucking bitch.
That's the latest from the the Gypsy King. Apparently, he doesn't want a rematch clause for what's supposed to be this upcoming Usyk fight. And to that,
Alexander Usyk's promoter, Alex Krassyuk, stated, "When we started negotiations, Fury's side were the first to ask for the rematch clause, and we supported this. I think whatever we accept from Fury, it will not leave us with a fight."
they had no choice but to go along with the fight being moved from Saudi over to the United Kingdom. They accepted the 70-30 split.
Now the latest issue is a rematch clause. Tyson Fury doesn't want one.
Even though, according to Alex, initially they did. Alexander Krassyuk continued, he was not in training camp. We saw his theatrical performance, pretend jogging and pretending, sparring Joseph Parker. He is not prepared. He is scared to fight. We don't trust him. We don't believe him.
It's my understanding that Alexander Usyk has already started preparations for a Fury fight, whereas Tyson Fury...
It seems like he just now started, quote-unquote started, preparing for Alexander Usyk, but there's little more than about 6 weeks between now and April 29th, and that's hardly ideal for a fight of this magnitude.
My opinion, and if I'm wrong, everyone will play this back. But no, I don't think it happens on April 29th. But I hope it does. And, he's called his bluff. So it's over to Tyson Fury. I don't believe he's going to have a 6-week training camp for a fight like that. Who knows?
It appears that Eddie Hearn was bang on the money, as Alexander Usyk's promoter, Alex Krassyuk, stated, his credibility is shot to pieces. This man is trying to escape. I'm really sorry for Tyson's fans. It's a shame for a fighter to behave like that. It's not about money and not about boxing. It's about fear.
That's how it appears to a lot of people.
Listen, you already had reason enough to believe that the fight might not go down in April due to a recent tweet from Top Rank's Bruce Trempler that has since been deleted. A tweet that seems to indicate the fight's been pushed back to June.
Think about it. Reports indicated that Tyson Fury has just now started camp for the Usyk fight. But if you just now got started, that leaves you with just about 6 weeks to prepare and 6 weeks for the promoters to promote the show.
Ideally, you need about 8, a minimum of 8. 8 weeks to prepare for the fight and 8 weeks to promote the show.
Here with 6 weeks left, not only is Tyson Fury supposedly just now getting started, just now starting fight camp, but it appears they haven't even ironed out all the terms for the fight.
Why are we still hearing about this? And if these negotiations drag on just a bit longer, what stops the WBA from ordering Usyk to fight Daniel Dubois?
What was it? 2 days ago, they said they would hold off on ordering that fight between Alexander Usyk and Daniel Dubois on the premise that him and Fury have reached terms.
It appears they haven't. Not if this is what we're hearing a few days later on Monday morning.
You guys don't get this done in a timely fashion. There's nothing to stop them from ordering that fight between Usyk and Daniel, and maybe that's what Tyson Fury wants.
Maybe it is. In a lot of people's opinions, he's never fancied this fight. There's something about Alexander Usyk that he doesn't like. Something that makes him uncomfortable, and maybe that's where all this
anger,
hostility.
The stuff he's been saying about Alexander Usyk, it does seem like somewhat of a deviation, somewhat removed from what you normally get from Tyson Fury, that it doesn't seem like showmanship. These are personal attacks, and he seems rattled.
It's almost like he wants this to drag on.
They accepted your 70-30 split. You're the A side. What's the problem now?
Greedy belly. Rematch clause come from your side, not mine. Stop whining and ducking. Be a man. Ink the contract or vacate the belt. I need undisputed. And not to play. your stupid games.
Most people are not going to take Tyson Fury's word over Alexander Usyk's because history shows that Alexander Usyk doesn't normally have these kinds of problems in getting a deal done.
He doesn't.
These long, drug-out negotiations that experience all these issues, Tyson Fury has become synonymous with them, not Alexander Usyk. Nobody's going to believe that fat bag of milk.
Most people won't.
And if both Alex Krassyuk and Alexander Usyk himself say that the rematch clause and the desire for it didn't come from their end, it came from Tyson's.
I believe them.
So if Tyson Fury's side of it are the ones that wanted the rematch clause, why are they now doubling back? Is this a means to stall negotiations, cause them to drag out even longer?
Yep.
I mean, you got what you wanted. The fight's in the UK, 70-30 split in Tyson Fury's favor. You're the A side. You have every conceivable advantage, and that's not enough.
Height advantage, reach advantage, weight advantage, home field advantage.
You got the lion's share of the pot. What more do you want?
You're doing all this to fight a guy that you claim is a middleweight that you'll easily run over. You're doing all this for him.
Initially, Eddie Hearn did not believe, based on the time constraints, that this fight would stay on course to happen April 29th. And that was just based on the time constraints. Tack on this latest issue.
Eddie Hearn didn't think that the fight would happen on the 29th of next month. Now, Alexander Krassyuk shares in that sentiment. He don't think the fight is going to happen either.
He says it's not about money and it's not about boxing. It's about fear.
Listen, if it were about money, then the fight would be in Saudi, because Bob Arum himself already admitted that the Saudis offered up more money for the fight than it's worth in the UK. So if it were about money, it would have happened in Saudi.
Stayed in Saudi, I should say. You moved the fight from Saudi to the UK, in effect, costing Alexander Usyk money. You impose a 70-30 split in your favor on him.
And he actually accepts it.
And now your latest issue is a rematch clause that, according to the Usyk people, you guys wanted.
And if it becomes a situation to where it's Team Usyk's word over Team Fury's word, I'm taking Team Usyk's word for it.
I don't normally have to put up with this kind of stuff ahead of an Alexander Usyk fight. It's only when you insert Tyson Fury into the equation, into the situation, that it becomes this dog and pony show.
If it were really about money, then they would have kept it in Saudi.
Rules that out. Maybe what Tyson Fury wanted was home field advantage, but he has that.
He also wanted the lion's share of the pot.
But he has that.
Seeming more and more like what he wants is to get out of this fight.
And why else is the situation devolving into a case of he said, she said, and who's more synonymous with those situations? Tyson Fury or Alexander Usyk? Aegis Climax, who represents Alexander Usyk, responded to Tyson Fury's video by saying, "No one from Usyk's side is asking for a rematch. Stop lying to people. Rematch issue came from your side. As we were there dealing with your promoters, you asked for the rematch, which we agreed. So what is next? Not to fight Usyk."
Is Tyson Fury using this whole bit about a rematch clause as a means to stall negotiations so that Usyk ends up being ordered to fight Daniel Dubois? Is that what this is? Is this his way of getting out of this fight?
Because that's how it looks. And as I've stated in many videos, if anything happens to this fight, if it falls apart, the blame for it will be laid at the feet of Tyson Fury and Tyson Fury alone. You're not fooling anybody.
You can't play those games with this guy the way you play them with Deontay Wilder or Anthony Joshua. It's not going to work.
This fight falls apart, everybody's going to blame Fury for it.
Pretty much.
So in a nutshell, Usyk's promoter doesn't believe that the fight will happen because no matter what, Fury's going to keep putting up obstacles and roadblocks to prevent the fight from happening. That this isn't about money and it's not about boxing. It's about fear. He fears Alexander Usyk, and there are a lot of people out there that are starting to believe this.
Based on how these negotiations are going.
Usyk's promoter, Krassyuk, stated, as Usyk said, "The greedy belly is still hoping to find a way to pull out. We knew before, and we know it now. As soon as Usyk accepts a no rematch clause, there will still be searching for another thing to find and pull out of the fight."
Not dissimilar from what we saw ahead of what was supposed to be the Vladimir Klitschko fight.
Not the first one. The rematch. Ahead of what was supposed to be the rematch, the second fight, there was a delay because Tyson Fury reportedly injured his ankle. And I remember back then, a lot of people didn't really believe that. They felt Fury was trying to skip out on that fight.
And now, here we go again.
Looks like he's up to his old tricks. I'll tell you why. He bluffed and Usyk called his bluff. This is 100%. He didn't expect Usyk to accept the 70-30. He was not in a training camp, and we see the next morning the theatrical performance that he was pretending to jog and fight someone in the ring. It's all about nothing. He's not prepared and scared to fight. He will try to find a way to avoid Usyk for as long as possible. We don't trust him. We don't believe him. One more thing to know. When we started the negotiations, Fury's side was the first to ask for the rematch.
So all of a sudden he doesn't want a rematch clause. That's fine.
Fury's were the first to ask for the rematch, and we supported this.
Tyson Fury had no aversions to rematch clauses ahead of the first Wilder fight and the second Wilder fight, so all of a sudden...
Now you don't like him? A lack of consistency and continuity is a big part of the reason that most don't believe anything that Tyson Fury says in terms of whether or not the fight will still go ahead. Krassyuk said, "I don't believe anyone will fight. Even if you accept this now, he will still try to find a way out." Krassyuk continued, "He just doesn't want this fight to happen as he knows he's not prepared for it. It's only 5 weeks left. It's not sufficient for any proper fighter to get prepared for the undisputed heavyweight championship." When asked if Usyk would be ready for April 29th, Krassyuk added, "He is ready. He's been in training camp since December. The fighter is the final decision maker. It's up to Usyk to make the decision. He made it the first time, the second time, and he will make it the third time."
And I think when push comes to shove, Alexander Usyk will once again elect to go ahead with the fight.
Whatever we accept from Fury, it will not leave us with a fight. He will escape it anyway. His credibility is shot to pieces. The man is trying to escape. I'm really sorry for Tyson Fury's fans in the UK and throughout the world. It's a shame for a fighter to behave like that. It's not about money. It's about fear. For a big man like Tyson, it's impossible to have so much fear.
And that's how all of this appears.
The fighters' track records, their history, is what speaks to the truth of the current situation. Alexander Usyk not being a fighter that normally has these kinds of issues in any set of negotiations he's gone into, and he's fought many champions across 2 weight classes. All of a sudden, he's dealing with this balding fat ass, this bag of milk, and this starts up.
And that's a coincidence.
Usyk wants this fight badly. He cannot fight just by himself. He needs an opponent in the ring. His opponent is ducking him. I don't feel this fight will happen on April 29th. Whatever conditions Usyk will accept.
Fury will find a way out. And maybe Krassyuk is right.
I never actually believed that Tyson Fury was injured ahead of what was supposed to be the Klitschko rematch. I think he knew Vladimir was going to bring his A game.
And Fury knew it.
Tack on the fiasco he had going on with UCAD, the positive nandrolone test, and he starts up with all that mental health crap.
No, he was in a dark place. He was depressed. Well, was it ever reported what medications, if any, Tyson Fury was taking for his clinical depression? Was it ever diagnosed in a clinical setting? I mean, I know he's a spastic idiot, a contradictorian, and a pathological liar, but who diagnosed him with depression?
It's all bullshit. This guy will say almost anything.
That's why people don't believe him.
They believe he's ducking.